guys, Greg Denny again. You know, so much of life is about questions and answers. We know things that others are dying to know, and so we offer our help. We offer our experiences, what we've learned, and you and I, there's so much we don't know that we want to learn, and we can learn from them. We can ask, and they've had the experiences or acquired the knowledge or have the skills. They can help us out. And so much of life is like that. And you go through thinking, okay, what can I really get out of that? What can I gain? How can I learn? And I love what Emerson said. He said, every person I meet is my superior in some way. And in that I can learn from them. And it's so true. And that's why we've created this course in how to fund travel. Because there's so many great answers to all your great questions. And that's what's wonderful. Some of you have no idea what you're going to do to fund travel or how to even get started or where you're going to go. And there's others who are ready. They got their bags packed and they have a service or a product already built. They just want to take it to the next level, the big bucks level. There's answers on the inside for both of you. And that's what's so exciting. From the very beginning up to making good money, traveling, living your dreams, making it happen. There's that whole range, and it's wonderful. And Rachel and I ourselves, just by what we've learned from these interviews, we've already implemented new income sources and strategies that have already made us thousands of dollars. And you're just getting started. We're implementing some of the things we've learned in these courses, and they're just at the beginning stages, and they're going to come out in the months and years to come. Boy, things are really going to happen. The real outcome is going to be fantastic. The same holds true for you. There's so many great ways to design and create a wonderful life. And you can take so many of these tips and these practices and just kind of twist them a bit with your own personality, your own little take, your own little offering to the marketplace, and you can make it happen. So I wanted to hit some of these great questions and just a few of the answers. Again, there are a lot of answers and a lot of good answers, and you're going to get so much from these interviews. I just want to share a few today. One of the biggest concerns we come across often, and we talked about in several of the interviews, is how do you handle the response of concerned family and friends? And it's across the board. I mean, you got on one side they're saying, "Are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? What are you doing?" And to other people say, "Well, why would you leave? Everything's good here. Why are you going somewhere else?" To the other side where they're saying, "Yeah, go, you got it, go, go, go." And that's where we are. We're cheering you on to go out and have those experiences and see the world and learn and grow and become better and live life on your terms. Well, one of the best ways to do that, and this also fits with a kind of a second question, a related question, is what if you don't have a spouse on board or your children? How do you introduce your children like, "Hey, I'm not going anywhere," and how do you bring a spouse or children, family on board? And I think one of the things that I've learned in some of the interviews and kind of across multiple interviews and families and individuals who have done it is just to help them understand why you're doing it and what the outcome will be. When we started traveling, we realized a lot of our fears were unfounded. I remember our very first time in 2007, we had just driven across the Mexican border with our 4 young children. And Rachel, both with butterflies, and we were sick to our stomachs, like, what have we just done? I mean, we were terrified. We love Mexico. Oh, it's one of our favorite places. But we're like, what about diseases? What about getting captured and killed and robbed? And what about we get this parasite and we die, and or some corrupt policeman arrests us, throws me in prison, and I spend the rest of my life in some prison in El Salvador, and we have these fears. One of the best things you can do is make it attractive. Not in a deceitful way, but say, "Hey, this is why I love it. This is why it's great. Hey, we're moving to Costa Rica. Look what you can do in Costa Rica. Look at all the people that are living there. Look at the experiences that they're having. Here's something you would really like about that." Right? And if you make it attractive and you make it appealing and you do it on their level. If it's the wife and the husband's like, I don't know about that stuff, but he's into fishing or surfing or adventure. Hey, look at all this. Or I really wanted to go here, but I'm willing to compromise. Why don't we go here because this would be a great adventure for you? Or if it's husband for the wife, say, hey, look at all this fresh fruit and vegetables, and it's cheap, and hey, you can get a maid to help with clean up so you can focus on being a mom or focus on your business or whatever it is you want to do. Look at it from those other angles, through other eyes, and make it appealing and help break the false beliefs and the false ideas that are out there. I mean, there's so many bogus ideas spread by media and other sources. We just got to put an end to that stuff. And I still get them constantly. Got them yesterday. Got an earful like, I can't believe you would ever take your little children, your family, and go to those countries. And the irony is, once you're in the country, they're kind and helpful and loving and wonderful. And they say to us, don't go to that next country. Boy, it's dangerous there. You are going to get robbed and killed. And it's just, we have these prejudices. We have these false ideas. So dispel those. Reach out to bloggers. Reach out to travelers. Get in this group, right? I mean, this is a group of seasoned travelers who've been, I think together with the whole group in How to Fund Travel, we've probably hit most of the countries in the world. And we can say, hey, well, what about this? And what about going here? And you talk to people who've actually been there, done that. You don't take advice from someone, hey, don't go there. And they've never been there. They don't know anything what it's like. It's all hearsay. And I think that's one of the best things. And just go with confidence and with a vision and be sure when you're out there, you get back, hey, let them know how great it is. Let them know, and not bogus, not phony, but say, hey, this is wonderful. This is our dream, and we're living it, and we're having a great time. And look at all the benefits and all the experiences and all the growth. It's just it's a wonderful way of life. And if we'll be tactful about it and purposeful in it, we can help family and friends understand our vision and hopefully become even more supportive about what we're seeking to do. Just a little addition to that one, we had some questions about, well, how do I get a spouse to help me get gung-ho and excited about creating that income, about funding travel? You may have a spouse like, oh, whatever, that's your thing, I don't care. Again, can it work? Is it possible? Absolutely, it can work. We've interviewed couples that, hey, it's either one or the other is earning it, making it happen, going after it, or both together. Rachel and I, we're kind of working on separate things, but then we work on things together. And we've always seen things together. And the one thing that's really helped us through our whole marriage and for pursuing our dreams and for raising our children, all of that, is that we read great books together. And so we gain the same perspective, the same vision, the same excitement, the same enthusiasm and motivation and inspiration. And it helps align our vision so we go after it. And when you're equally yoked, boy, that can just go happen. Again, use that motivation, the make it appealing and make it attractive. Make the connection there. Well, hey, if you really like this, help me make this connection and we can have that. Or yeah, this is going to stink for a while when we're staying up late, we're getting up early, we're putting in the grind, we're going after it, we're sweating and crying to make this happen, but that's temporary. If you'll help me, if we work together, we can really knock this out, and then we can have more freedom and more experiences and really get out and live together, live that life together. We have to, if you'll help me create the funding together, oh man, it's so much better and so much more fun. Another question we get often is, man, how do you pick where to go, right? I mean, here I am, I'm sitting in my house, living in a place where, many people have just lived their whole life and they're just saying, wait a minute, where do we go? I mean, and you take a whole globe, and Rachel and I, multiple times, we've taken a whole globe and you just spin the thing and you're like, woohoo, we can go anywhere, right? How exciting is that? Just amazing. You start narrowing things down. And I just did an interview 2 days ago with a guy that was their first time out of the country, really hadn't traveled. And they thought, let's try a year abroad. Where should we go? And they ended up here in Costa Rica, and they're just down the road from us, and great little family. And they just started saying, well, what do we want? What do we like? And and they live up in the mountains, and it's cold winters, and they were having some cold winters, and they thought, let's do tropical. Well, that narrowed it down. Well, let's go somewhere where I can have a similar time zone to the kind of work. He works for a company in New York, and so he said, well, if I can stay in that time zone, boy, that sure make it more comfortable, so I'm not working through the night. Well, that helped, Central South America. Then he started researching countries, which ones are more stable, which ones have better economies, better infrastructure, what kind of things are happening, and where can I go? And then he started to narrow down. And you can do the same thing. Get that vision. What do you want? What do you want your days to be like? When you have your weekends and you're not working, what do you want to do as a family? What do you want to see? What do you want to explore? What do you want? You want to do mountains? You climbing? You want to do snowboarding? I have friends. We've interviewed a couple of people that are, endless snowboarding and skiing. They just seek out the endless winter. Others are surfers, and they're seeking the endless summer. Others just want a very temperate climate. If 75 degrees every day, beautiful flowers and birds, I'm in heaven. Others just want to wear shorts and a t-shirt every day, and if they're comfortable doing that, great. Or they want to learn a language. The next language on my list is French. So there's all these great language, all these places where I can speak French, right? French-speaking islands and countries, and you start looking at, wow, what a great opportunity. We want to learn French. Well, let's start knowing down French country. Oh, okay, let's go there. And you look for a place where you can have a support group. You look for a place that other travelers have gone and said, hey, this is wonderful. Do you want a place that's touristy? We've lived in those places. Do you want a place that's remote and real authentic and local? We've lived in those places too. Do you want to live real cheap? Right? There's countries, even Nicaragua. We love Nicaragua, and it's cheap. Man, it's cheap. And you can just eat and rent nice places, and you can do so much on a smaller budget. Or you want to go bling bling high end, you want to go live in a castle in Europe. Fantastic. What about house sitting gigs? We've seen some fantastic ones. We're doing a fantastic one right now in Costa Rica, and there's opportunities there. One couple that just retired, they're on the house sitting gigs, and they're just letting that guide where they go. They get on there, see what's available, and they start sending out emails, and people respond, hey, yeah, you can do this, and these 3 months here and these 3 months there. And they say, well, we've always wanted to go to that country. Let's go. Right? And then they do their homework. They talk to people who have been there. And so you put together with your spouse, if you're doing as a family, even with your kids, and say, where would be a great place? What experiences do we really want to have? Right? What do we want to learn? How do we want to contribute? A lot of great travelers say, I want to make a difference when I'm out there. Where is there a need? Like Guatemala. How can I go help? How can I go make a real difference? Or they say, well, I'm gonna go set up a business. What kind of business opportunities are there? Is there more affluence? Had a friend contact me yesterday and say, hey, I'm doing physical therapy. I'm looking at Costa Rica as a possible option. Come down and open up a business in physical therapy and do some work there. Is it more affluent? What's medicine like? Is it private or public? Or is there a market for this skill or this opportunity? And so there are all those great options. But I would say, in your mind, jump ahead and say, well, what do we want to gain? What's the end outcome? What's the end result? What do we want to, at the end of that, say, yeah, that totally worked. It was totally awesome. We accomplished our objectives. And that's a great place to start writing down your questions and your desires and really start narrowing it down and talking to people. I remember on our very first trip, we knew we wanted to go tropical and warm. We just had a really hard winter, and we were, man, sick of that. Let's go warm. Okay, where are we going to go? And we started picking these countries, and we thought, I speak Spanish. We want kids to learn Spanish. Let's go Spanish speaking. We started thinking about some of the countries down there, and we just started telling friends. And boy, all these friends, well, yeah, I've lived here, and we had several friends that had lived in Costa Rica, had absolutely loved it, still came down frequently, and they said, look, without a doubt, and that's one of our all-time favorite places, great place to start. And so that was our very first rodeo, was to drive down to Costa Rica and live here for a year. It was awesome. Another initial concern that a lot of people have is, how do I find housing? How do I find a clean, affordable, or inexpensive, or really nice housing in country? And some people will hop on Craigslist, or they'll jump online and they start searching. One gentleman wants to go to Chile or Argentina, and he hopped on Craigslist and started looking. He thought, wow, man, the rents are astronomical here. How am I ever going to afford that? And what we've learned, our experience is that those who are listing their stuff online or on Craigslist, they have a specific target, and they're usually speaking English. They're approaching Americans, and they're asking higher prices. And it's been our experience that when we get down there, you start talking to some locals, you find a hostel or a hotel or some friends, you start networking. You can get down there and you start asking around, you start looking around, and you start finding it. And every time, we've been able to find a nice place at a good price and make it happen. Uh, and those price ranges are all over the board. So depending on what you want, I'm sure I know I've lived in some places and I was out traveling that would make you cry, right? And then there's some of you that would even live in worse places than that. But there's that whole range of what kind of standards you want and getting down there, getting used to it. But in our experience, you can find those places by asking around. You can hit bloggers, you can hit these travelers inside How to Fund Travel. All these travelers, they've been all over the place. And a lot of them have rented homes for months at a time or weeks or just a few nights. And so there's options there to get in, to ask them to get that experience, to say, well, this town was really expensive. Everything was, but this town right over here was just as nice and wasn't near as expensive. So there's a lot of options to ask people who've been there and just pick a place and get on the ground and make it happen. Another great option now is our Facebook groups. It seems like everywhere we go now, there's a Facebook group. We were in León, Nicaragua, there's a Facebook group. In Costa Rica, there's a Facebook group. And there's families living abroad. And even inside these groups, there's this whole range of preferences and personalities and experiences. And they say, well, I went to this one place and it was horrible. And the next person says, I went there and I loved it. And so it's preference and personality, but you're going to get on the ground and get a feel for things about what costs are like. What's the cost of food and how do you do internet? Right, that's one thing we always have to do wherever we are. How are you getting internet? Can you get it in the house? Are you finding in an area or living in an area? I mean, we're just on the border here. We're pretty remote, but we still can get good internet and good phone coverage and all those things. So get in the Facebook groups. Get inside How to Fund Travel and ask experienced travel. I mean, and you'll connect with some of these travelers better than others. Some of you just be like, yeah. I mean, I just connect with those people. I love their philosophy, love the way they travel, love the way they think. And those are the kind of people who say, hey, have you been to this country? What'd you think? Where'd you stay? What was it like? What can I expect for prices? And then you get on the ground and for example, we lived in Panajachel for a year. It's in Guatemala on Lake Atitlán. It was amazing. You get in there, there's some nice hotels and hostels, every range. I mean, you can get in there, you can pay $10-15 a night for a hostel, or you can pay $300 a night for a nice hotel out on the lake. And you can stay there, and there's three real nice stores. It's all relative. There are some nicer stores with a lot of expatriates or a lot of travelers, and you'd go in there and there would be houses listed. $300 a month for this, $400 for this, and then I'd hop on the bike or go for a run in the morning and run around. I do this everywhere we go. You go out for a run, go out for a bike ride, and some across. Here we go, for rent. We went to Nicaragua, loved it. We got a recommendation while we were at a nice little hotel in El Salvador. Met a surfer there, and he's like, hey, look, go to Las Peñitas. It's a fantastic little surfing town. All right. So we drove straight out there, right? Went out there, and there was about 10 or 15 signs along the way. I called on all of them. We got into a place for 3 weeks, and then I went asking and talking to the locals and found the nice places that didn't have a sign up, but were still for rent, and we ended up renting a place right on the beach and just had a fantastic experience. A nice little place, and we only paid $350 a month. And just paradise. It was awesome. And so you can make that happen. You can make it work. Just be active and talking. And even if you're willing, take that little leap, that little risk of heading out there, right? And getting there and asking around when you get there, and things can really happen. We've been to places where we'll network. We'll show up and we'll meet an expatriate that's living there. And this happened in our Dominican Republic. We wanted to live in Las Caleras. We got on a bus with all our kids, went right down there, right? And no plans. We didn't know a soul. And we didn't know what it was. We knew nothing. When the bus hops off, we get off with all our luggage. I mean, we were just packing tons of stuff and all our kids. And we're standing there in the street. And this Canadian guy, Joe, rolls by on his motorcycle. He goes, "Hey guys, welcome to town." And I'm like, "Hey Joe," I'm like, "Hey, we're looking for a place. You know of anything?" And he's like, "Yeah, hop on my motorcycle." He's like, "Let's take your wife and kids over to our house. They can sit down and watch a movie. My wife's there. She'll make them some bread and some juice. And you and I hop on the motorcycle and go look." And we zipped over. And within an hour or two, we were talking to the owner and had the place rented and lived in paradise on a coconut grove for, I think it was $300 a month. And it happened just like that, just rolling into town. So it's awesome. Oh, the experiences are there and the opportunities are there and the networking. But again, almost always it comes from talking to other people. So that's why this group is so powerful. These are seasoned travelers. These are people who get out there and explore and have a great time, and they know what they're doing, and they're happy to help you out. So again, on the inside, there are answers to your questions. That really brings us back kind of full circle to where we began. You know, life is all about finding answers to your questions, and howtofundtravel.com provides answers to those questions you want. And it's so nice to have that leverage, right? Not knowing is so frustrating. You know, that uncertainty of, geez, what are we going to do? Or what if it doesn't work out? Or what that could happen? Or how are we going to pull this off? Or what tool should I use to try to create my business, right? Just not knowing. You want the certainty. You want the help. You want to cut your learning curve. Boy, if we could just cut our learning curves in half by knowing what others did and say, yeah, it took me 40 hours to learn this skill. Here's how you could do it. Watch this video. Whew, off we go. Right? What tools do you use? What software? What hardware? Cameras and lighting and microphones. Creating CDs and DVDs, shipping, fulfillment, marketing, advertising. What about education and homeschooling or world schooling? How do you do that? How do you set up a timeline for planning how long you need to prepare before you go? And how do you set up a timeline for how long you're out there? How can you stay longer? How can you travel cheaper? How can you get better deals on flights, right? The travel hacking. How can you build a business once you get there? What kind of jobs are available? How do we keep our family unit together? How do we keep those traditions? How do we stay in contact with family? How do we communicate? What about internet? How are we making calls? How are we working remotely? Right? The interview I just did recently, talking about how he needed to access important databases that were secured in his office in the States. And he's living here. And he set up a way to access that so he could continue working remotely. Right? All those tools, all those strategies, all those principles and practices across the board with how do you strengthen your marriage? How do you not go crazy? How are you exhausted? How do you find the right house? How do you connect with the local people? What's the best way to learn a language once you get there? What are the opportunities for humanitarian efforts and for getting involved and making contribution? We get questions like that. Well, I saw this organization, went and helped. I just hated what they were doing. How do you pick a good organization and know that what you're contributing to is going to make a difference, right? And all the different ways to earn an income. Well, I have this skill and I have this ability and I have this passion. How can I turn all three of them into profitable streams of income? Right? How can I do it when I need to physically present? Maybe you have a skill or ability or a service that has to be in person. Well, how do you make that happen? Can you do it in another country? Can you do it while you travel? Absolutely. The answers to your questions are on the inside. It's opening soon. It's worth it. I promise. We've kept the fee so comfortable so that all of you can participate. It's not going to break anybody's bank. And I guarantee you, this is the one promise I can make. You will learn things that are far more valuable than the price you're paying for the membership. I promise. What dollar amount or pound amount or euro amount, what price tag could you put on advice that helps you become a better parent or a better spouse? Something that just alters your perspective in life, that helps you get a better education? What value could you place on something, some technique, some strategy that alters the way you view business and run your business and brings you thousands and thousands of dollars for the rest of your lifetime? I mean, there are skills in here and abilities and principles that could alter the way you make money. It could alter the way you see the world. That could alter the quality of your lifestyle. It's worth it. That's what I can guarantee. And there's at least that much and a lot more as far as a dollar value, way more in every single interview, right? And that's just what you're paying for a month to have access to all of them. It's so worth it. And every time you watch a video, once you're on the inside, every time you watch a video, think, man, would I be willing to pay that small amount to gain that insight? Absolutely. It's so worth it. So sign up, get on the inside, get answers to your questions and get answers to the questions you didn't know you had. And let's all begin living a more exciting, more fulfilling, and more travel-filled, wonderful lifestyle. Figuring out how to fund it, how to live it, and how to make it happen. Here's to your future fantastic travel lifestyle. Reach upward.